Hey, what's up, everybody? This is the undeniable, unfiltered, and unbiased Gridiron Gilly Show. I'm your host, of course, Gridiron Gilly. College football season is upon us. We got Florida State and Georgia Tech kicking off the college football season Saturday in Ireland, of all places. Um, I'm going to be doing this all season long, whenever I have time, of course. I have a full time job, but yeah, I'm just gonna pick random games, or if y'all have games you want me to do, hit me up. Say, hey, Clemson, Miami, or any game you want, even if it's like terrible teams that no one cares about. I'll look into it. I'll see what they got on the table, and I'll give my predictions. But for right now, I got Georgia Tech and Florida State predictions. I looked into it. I looked at what they bring to the table this year, what they brought to the table last year, what they lost, what they're returning, and just all that stuff. Um, and I think I got it pretty down pat. My prediction. I think it's gonna be a better game than most people think. Notice I said undeniable, unfiltered, and unbiased, but I did not say unscripted because I got my scripts right here. So let's dive right into it. Okay, let's see. We got Georgia Tech versus Florida State. Last year, 2023, Georgia Tech, they went 7-6, 5-3 in the ACC. Brent Key is their head coach. This will be his second season with the Yellow Jackets. Also, we had Florida State, 2023 last year. They went 13-1. They were 8-0 in the ACC. Mike Norvell, this will be his fifth season with the Seminoles. Georgia Tech players to watch. We got quarterback Haynes King. He threw for 2,755 yards last year, 26 touchdowns, 15 interceptions, 648 rush yards, 9 touchdowns. Running back Jamal Haynes. So we got a Haynes quarterback and a Haynes running back. Let's see what Jamal Haynes. He had 1,059 rush yards, 7 touchdowns, 20 receptions, 151 yards, and 1 touchdown. And then we have wide receiver Eric Singleton Jr. He had 48 receptions, 714 yards, and 6 touchdowns. So that's what Georgia Tech's bringing to the table on the offensive side of the ball. Um, all those guys seem to have contributed a pretty good bit last year. If quarterback King, if he can get those interceptions down into the single digits, I think they'll have a pretty stellar year. Had 648 rush yards. I think he'll probably bump that up this year. Georgia Tech, they gave up 220 rush yards a game last year and 29.5 points on their defense did that. And Georgia Tech also, they averaged 31.1 points a game. Georgia Tech returns 7 offensive and 7 defensive starters this season from last season. Up next, we got Florida State. Florida State players to watch. I picked quarterback. He's the Oregon State transfer, DJ U. DJU, because I'm not going to try to pronounce his last name, but DJU, the Oregon State transfer, he threw for 2,638 yards last year. He had 21 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. Also, on the ground, he had 219 rush yards for 6 touchdowns. So he and King both, they can hurt you with their legs and their arm, apparently. And I think with Florida State, I think he'll be better off than he was at Oregon State. So I think his numbers will increase, even though Florida State lost a lot on the offensive side of the ball. I think with Norvell as your quarterback, I think they'll come back and they'll be prepared this year, especially with a seasoned quarterback like DJ. Running back, um, man, I looked into this. Florida State has a plethora of running backs. But first of all, they have Alabama transfer Roydale Williams. He had 560 rush yards last year and 5 touchdowns. And they have a running back. He's been with Florida State, Lawrence Toafili. Hopefully, I pronounced that right. 463 rush yards and 4 touchdowns. And last year, Florida State, they gave up 179 yards through the air and 19.3 points a game. Florida State averaged 34.6 points a game. Florida State returns 4 offensive and 4 defensive starters. So just right there, that tells me Florida State's defense was pretty nasty last year, only giving up 19.3 points a game. That's not really that bad. And when you score 34.6 a game, that's not terrible. That's probably about average, I would say, for like a pretty good offense. But man, Florida State, they lost a lot, and that's the only thing. So 2022 TCU, they did what Florida State did last year, except TCU went to the national championship and got slaughtered by Georgia. Florida State, they got screwed out of the playoff last year. Some would say. Some agree that it was the right decision. I'm unbiased about it. But Florida State played Georgia in the Orange Bowl, and they got slaughtered. I don't think Florida State will be as terrible as TCU was last year. However, I do think Florida State will not be as great as everyone expects. So, anyways, let's dive into it. I've told you what I think, what I've researched from last year. Let's dive into it and see what I'm predicting for this game this Saturday. So, first of all, I said that, let me find it. I said after a mediocre season from Georgia Tech in 23, Brent Key and the Yellow Jackets look to rebound in year 2. If they want to solidify themselves as a big-time player in the ACC, they'll need to step it up on defense this season. I believe Georgia Tech has the offense that can make some noise in their conference, and what better test than Florida State right out the gate? And I believe that. I don't think Georgia Tech is going to, at the end of the season when it's all said and done, I don't think they'll be in the ACC title picture. That's absurd. I don't think Georgia Tech fans would agree with that statement. However, I think their offense has the potential to be pretty daggone good this year. They were good last year. Their defense was their weak link. And I think this year their defense will have to step it up if they want to be a contender. And I'm not sure if they will. We'll have to see. But Florida State, let's dive into it. I said the Seminoles were a force to be reckoned with in 2023 before being snubbed in the college football playoff. Florida State season ultimately ended with a 63-3 massacre in the Orange Bowl to Georgia. If Florida State would have returned at least half their starters, I'd put money on them every Saturday this fall. However, due to this being a brand new group of guys from the portal and some guys finally getting their chance to play, I don't see another dream season in the works. I'm not counting them out of the ACC title picture. I'm just saying when it's all said and done, they will not be one of the final 12. This Georgia Tech FSU game will take place in Ireland, kicking off the 2024 college football season. Despite Florida State losing a plethora of NFL caliber talent, I believe Norvell will have the Noles ready for battle. I think Florida State's depth at running back will be too much for Georgia Tech's defense. However, I think the Haynes King and Jamal Haynes duo could have themselves a day as well. When it's all said and done, I think Florida State can set the tone, control the line of scrimmage, and they'll beat the Yellow Jackets in a game closer than Florida State fans would like. A win is a win, though, and I'll take Florida State 36-27, and that's final. Let me know what you guys think. Like I said, that's my unfiltered and unbiased opinion. I don't know a whole lot, but I do know football. So next week, whenever all the other good games are on, I'll be doing the same exact thing, same spot probably. And y'all follow me. I'm on Instagram. It's Gridiron, GRIDIRON _ Gilly, GILLY. I just made my page the other day, and this will be my first post. But I have like 4 followers, so yeah, y'all go follow me. And that's all I got.